week 7 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers this week. The first receiver, Jordan Whittington of the Los Angeles Rams. Jordan Whittington, he's out there in 95% of fantasy leagues. We know Puka Nacua most likely going to be out this week, but I think Nacua will return in week 9 after the week 8 bye, and it just makes sense. This Ram team's playing good. Matthew Stafford's a quarterback that even without his number one option still could go out there and make plays. So the last few weeks for Whittington operating as the number 3 wide receiver for this Ram team. Week 5 versus the Niners, 2 catches, 33 yards. And week 6 of Baltimore, 3 catches, 23 yards and 4 targets. So this week in London versus Jaguars, they give up the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. I think Jordan Whittington filling in for Puka Nacua. He could go out there in PPR leagues, get you 7, 12 fantasy point range. He knows this offense very well. Last season he played a lot where they had injuries to Nacua and obviously Cooper Kupp when he was with this Ram team. So this week, if you need the deep sleeper, Jordan Whittington is one this week. The next wide receiver, Luther Burden, the third of the Chicago Bears, out there in 85% of fantasy leagues. And he did lead all Bear receivers in yards in last week's victory at the Washington Commanders. And now we know DJ Moore's banged up with a groin injury and not 100% to play in this one. So the last few games for Burden, week 3 versus Dallas, a carry, 7 yards, 3 catches, 101 yards, a touchdown. It was a breakout game. Then week 4 at the Raiders, he didn't really see the field, 2 catches, -4 yards. And then week 6, like I said, with the Commanders, he led all receivers, even though it wasn't a big game in this Bear receiving room. 4 catches, 51 yards. So this week, a good matchup versus the Saints. Their defense really can't stop anyone. They give up the 15th most fantasy points to wide receivers on the year. And like I said, especially if DJ Moore doesn't play in this game, even though knowing DJ Moore, he's played through a lot of injuries the last few seasons. He most likely will play. Luther Burden, either way, I still think is a good sleeper option. The final sleeper, Sterling Shepard of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shepard out there in 91% of fantasy leagues. We know Chris Godwin, we know Mecca Ibuka. They're already going to be out in this ball game for Tampa Bay, and Mike Evans, will see for sure if he's going to play in this one or not. In the last few weeks for Shepard, week 4 versus Philly, a carry, 6 yards, 2 catches, 14 yards. Week 5 at Seattle, a carry, -5 yards, 4 catches, 24 yards, a touchdown. And week 6 versus the Niners, 2 catches, 51 yards. I know Cameron Johnson and Tez Johnson both had touchdowns in last week's game, but Sterling Shepard is still going to play a lot of snaps. He's a veteran, and like I said, if Mike Evans is back, it's him and Shepard most likely in 2 receiver sets, and it's a good matchup with the Lions that give up the 5th most fantasy points to wide receivers on the season. So that's a few wide receivers I have as sleepers for week 7 of the fantasy football season.